Pathmonk is the intelligent tool for website lead generation. With increasing online competition, over 90% of website visitors don't convert. The ability to successfully show your value proposition and support visitors in their buying journey separates you from the competition online. Pathmonk qualifies and converts leads on your website by figuring out where they are in the buying journey and influencing them in key decision moments with relevant micro experiences, such as case studies, intro videos, and much more. Stay relevant to your visitors and increase conversion by 50%. Add Pathmonk to your website in seconds. Let the artificial intelligence do all the work. Get access to 50% more qualified leads so you keep doing marketing and sales as usual. Check us out on Pathmonk. On today's episode of the Pathmonk Presents, I've got a very special guest with me joining today. Please welcome Brock on. He is your professional communicator, writer, marketer, and strategist. So for all of you who don't know, he is the VP of communication at HAAS Alert. So HAAS Alert is all about building a life-saving mobility solutions to make vehicles and roads safer and smarter. So for all of our listeners out there, thank you for joining us today. And Brock, it's a pleasure to have you on our show.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. So in terms of what your company does, tell us, what do you guys do overall, and what is the problem that you solve for your clients as well?
Yeah, so HAAS Alert, we fundamentally specialize in vehicle-to-vehicle communications for safety. And at the core of what we do is connecting vehicles to ensure that people get home safely and receive hazard warnings if they're approaching things on the road like emergency vehicles, school buses, construction zones, all the things that drivers are supposed to slow down and move over. We provide alerts to drivers to warn them as they are approaching those types of assets and hazards so that they have more time to avoid collision. And so at the core of what we do is connecting vehicles, people, and applications on the road so that they can share that information with one another and prevent collisions.
Amazing. This is a really great tool. Everybody needs this tool, honestly.
Great. Agreed. I'm happy you feel that way. I mean, a lot of the complications in our work have to deal with the fact that the customers that we are selling to at our core are typically public safety agencies, fire departments, police departments, tow truck operators, all of these different roadside responders that drivers encounter every day. Those audiences are essentially the primary users of our service, but our service connects those customers with all of the drivers around them through mobile applications and in vehicles. And so we have to work across the ecosystem to make sure that those connections are made so that everyone can receive those.
Yeah, definitely. But I think it's great as well. Like this tool is it's so essential. Like I was researching you guys on your website and what you do. And, I think it's really great where at the end of the day, this is, it not only is, protecting with like tow trucks and then with helping in the auto industry and the public safety sector, but, it's also a tool that like it does prevent like any potential accidents or that it takes care of the community overall. So I think it's really great what you guys are doing.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, definitely. So in terms of your clients, how do they typically find you then? Because, as we mentioned, focusing on the public sector and then, those who own like tow truck automobiles. So I feel like that's very, word of mouth and referral based, but I want to hear your thoughts. So would you say it's, inbound, outbound, digital marketing, or is it a mix of a lot of things currently?
Yeah, well, as you know, and I'm as sure as your listeners know, we live in a time where you cannot really rely on any one medium or one strategy to drive market awareness. It is really about sort of like a holistic approach. And from our perspective, we never take for granted the fact that our customers have never had a solution like what we offer with Safety Cloud and digital alerting until now. And so they're not used to buying a service like ours to keep them safe on the road because that's never been an option for them. And so we rely on a wide variety of approaches and strategies to drive market awareness. We take that into our own hands with a lot of content creation. We obviously operate across the entire spectrum. So we do, paid and digital advertising. We're doing case studies. We're doing storytelling around our customers. We're doing a lot of outreach to local media organizations and to national media organizations. And then we partner with our customers to really enable them and empower them to communicate to their local communities about the service that we provide. And so if a fire department adds Safety Cloud and they begin doing digital alerting, we make sure that that fire department has the tools they need to share with the local citizens. Now we're doing digital alerting. Here's how you can receive these alerts. These are the apps you can use. These are the vehicles that you can drive. The other big part of our approach is we build partnerships with channel partners and suppliers within the ecosystems and industries that we're serving. So that means we're not just, for instance, selling to fire departments. We also partner with the fire apparatus manufacturers. We partner with companies that do things like telematics solutions and programs for fire departments. And so we do everything we can to make sure that the entire ecosystem of the transportation community is aware of what we do and is talking about.
That's incredible. And I really love too, especially with the digital alerts. So then with the HAAS Alert, is it also like it's a mobile application as well? Does it also work on the desktop as well? Or are you guys mainly focused on just mobile?
So that's a great question. So our focus is on reaching people in the vehicle. So fundamentally, this is about if a driver is approaching an emergency vehicle or a work zone or a tow truck, whatever it is that they're supposed to slow down and move over for, those are the drivers that we are trying to reach, and we're trying to reach them in the safest and most effective way possible. And so if a driver is using a mobile application for navigation like Waze, they're not going to get that alert that shows up to tell them that there's an emergency vehicle ahead until they are actively approaching an active emergency vehicle with its light bar on, right? And so those are the drivers that we want to reach. We're more interested actually in going beyond the mobile applications and getting into the vehicle. And so now today, if you're driving a Jeep, Dodge, or Ram or Chrysler vehicle, 2018 and newer, you're going to receive that alert in the dashboard of your vehicle as you are approaching that emergency vehicle without having to use a mobile navigation. And so this is not for people on the computer. This is about drivers on the road who are encountering these hazards. And those are the drivers we want to get those alerts to.
Got it. Okay. Thank you for clarifying and for, walking me through that as well. It's really great. Yeah. And so now we're going to switch gears here and we're going to talk about you as a leader. So how does an average day look like for you? What do you do? What do you manage? Who's your team? And give us some insights as well.
Yeah. Well, HAAS Alert, we benefit from having a relatively small company. We have about 40 people on staff, and our marketing and media team has about 6 of us total. And so our day-to-day, we really kind of work across a few modalities. At the core of what we do, obviously, is focused on our obligations as a marketing team. And, the core of marketing, obviously, is to drive awareness and help to drive revenue. And so a lot of our efforts day to day are just about getting content and getting engagement in the field and in the market through our website, through social media, through all of the in-person events that we do and the materials for that. Our marketing team is also a shared resource for the broader company. So we do all of our product materials. We do all of our customer support materials. We do decks and presentations for our sales team and for our dev team. And so we are coordinating and collaborating with the rest of our team members every day to get them what they need and to bring sort of our assets and resources to bear to help them accomplish their goals and objectives. And then another component of the communications and marketing work that we do here is policy work. I have the benefit of working with our government team and doing a lot of engagement with federal agencies and state agencies around transportation and connected vehicle policy. And we find that that is a critical component of our broader sort of awareness and communication strategy because we're helping the broader ecosystem understand how a technology like ours fits into the big picture with transportation and what it enables for infrastructure owner operators, for transportation officials, and everyday drivers. And so I would say that our efforts are really spread across those primary focuses.
That's incredible. And I really love how, you highlighted about, working with jurisdiction and, with different governments and their public policy to, see how this can be implemented in the best way possible, especially, where the regulations vary from depending on the state that you live in and the rules. So I think it's really great that, HAAS is really diving deep into the weeds of this to make sure that it's transparent across no matter what state that you're using the application in. So it's great.
I appreciate that. I mean, for us, from our perspective, it's a necessary a part of us
Yep.
achieving a broader objective. Our vision is that all drivers everywhere should be able to receive these alerts, and all responders should be able to deliver them. And so it is our duty to make sure that every responder and every driver in every state has these options available to them. And it's an accessibility issue, it's an equity issue. And so from our perspective, it's just a necessary component of the work.
Yeah, definitely. It is a necessary component, but it's, like I said, it's really great. And I'm a huge fan of the product, honestly.
Oh, thank you so much.
Absolutely. So now we're getting close to the end of our interview, and I'm going to ask you some rapid fire questions. You ready?
Do it. Yeah, I'm ready. All right.
Okay. So if there were no boundaries in technology, what would be the one thing you would want to have fixed in your role today?
Oh man, that's a really good question. If there were no boundaries in technology, I think that email marketing is broken. I think a lot of our core customers, our core customers are public safety professionals who, on any given day, the things that they're focused on are always going to be more important than anything that somebody's emailing them about in their inbox. And so I think that, for our customers and for our use case, I wish there was a more effective way to communicate that type of sort of regular communication to customers and target leads in a way that was more accessible to them than email, but less frustrating. We are constantly finding ways to stand out to our customers. We would much prefer to avoid email entirely when we can. We'd rather show up at the front door and knock on the door, or we'd rather see them at an event. And so unfortunately, I don't know that technology has an answer to that, but that's one of the core questions we're always focused on answering here is like, what's the most effective and compelling way to engage with someone in a way that benefits them?
Yeah, especially where it's going to resonate with them and it's going to stick with them and like keep HAAS as like the forefront of their brain as well.
Exactly right. Yeah. I mean, we always, people are complicated. And so, you want to be respectful of the fact that they've got a lot of other things in their mind, but you want to make an impact. And that's something that there's typically no shortcuts to.
Yeah, absolutely. So now my next question is, if there was one piece of advice that you could give yourself, if you were able to go back and restart your career, what would you tell yourself? Is there anything that you would do different?
Yeah, I don't know that I would do anything different. I've been very privileged to have a very fulfilling career. I love my colleagues. I love the things that we learn every day. But what I'll say is, I think the most effective advice that I could give myself or anyone is to focus on being a sort of a solutions oriented person that is committed to just getting it done. It is so easy to have a career where all you do is diagnose problems, or you reveal problems, or you identify problems. But especially when you work on a small team, especially when you are in a startup, everyone needs to be focused on bringing solutions to the table and actually executing them. And I think that there's nothing more effective or compelling in a professional space than someone who's there to kind of get in the weeds and do the work and get it done. And so just take every opportunity you can to be the solution rather than looking for someone else to be the solution.
Yeah, I think that's really great advice as well, especially where we've got a lot of the tools now to help us. And now it's like just a matter of like, okay, how can I work smarter but not harder with providing these solutions?
Exactly right. Yeah.
Definitely. All right. So now we're at the end of our interview today. And I want to thank you so much for joining us on the podcast, but I also want to give you the last word. If anyone were to forget about everything we've talked about in your interview today, what is the one thing you want them to remember about HAAS Alert overall?
Oh, man. I think that what they need to understand is that HAAS Alert is changing the very nature of transportation for everyone. We are moving to a place where your car is as connected to the things around it as your phone is. And we don't yet know, I don't think the average driver knows just how transformative that's going to be for transportation in the long run. But fundamentally, HAAS Alert is focused on not only building those connections and opening up that new world, but doing it in a way that keeps everyone safe and leads to a safer world where people get home safely. And so that's really what we're committed to doing here.
Amazing. Absolutely. Yeah, you guys definitely are committed, and I'm a huge fan, as I've said multiple times. Like, you've got me kind of subscriber now, 6 months ago, you guys.
Hey.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So, Brock, thank you again so much. And for all of our listeners out there, for any of your transportation needs and you need some help, you know where to find Brock on and his team at HAAS Alert.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. And for all of our listeners out there, check us out next week on Pathmonk Presents.